Yeah, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the channel again. It's been a while also. I've not uploaded any new video, and today I have a new one. So today I'm going to take you through on a new Microsoft Graph API tutorial with TypeScript. So what we're going to do today is that I'm going to show you how we can send email using Microsoft Graph API with TypeScript. So for those who do not know what TypeScript is simply just strict JavaScript. Yeah, so that's my best definition for TypeScript. So a few things that you need to set up before we start the development of the script is that you need to download and install Node.js in your system. So you can just head over to nodejs.org and just download the recommended one. I usually go with the recommended. It's current. You can just go with the recommended version for Node.js. Once you install Node.js in your system, uh, the next thing is now to go to Azure and do your app registration. So from the app registration, you're going to require three components, and that is the application client ID. You're going to need the tenant ID and also the secret. And since you're going to send email, you're going to need to assign your app registration the mail.send permission. So we're going to deal with application permission. There are three types of permissions that you can assign to your app registration, as you can see from the screen, but you're only interested with application. Okay, so once you you do your app registration, you grab your secret, you assign the permission, you grab your tenant ID and also the application client. You can just note down the value of those uh, components in your in a notepad somewhere so that you can refer later on. So I have mine here in a notepad. So when we'll be creating the script, we'll just need to copy and paste instead of just going to type the whole thing the way it is. You can see it's like a string, which is a mixture of characters and some stuff there, numbers and stuff. So once you're up your registration, now we can begin. So also something else that guys you're going to learn from this tutorial is how you can set up your TypeScript project in Windows. So if you haven't like before run any TypeScript project, or you're just curious about how you can start a TypeScript project, so this tutorial is for you. Something else that you're going to learn is how you can get the access token using TypeScript. So it could be someone outside there that is working on a Microsoft Graph API with TypeScript, and maybe you just stuck on how to grab the access token using TypeScript. Then this tutorial is for you. Okay, so once you have every requirement that I've just mentioned ready, we can begin. Something else just to add is we're going to send an email to a Gmail account, so that is to external. So we'll be sending an email from M365 to Gmail. Okay, so M365 is part of Azure, so it's sort of going to use to send the email from using Microsoft Graph API is the source. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is to create a folder. So I just go ahead and create a folder in my desktop. You can create yours from whichever directory that you prefer or you want. So mine, I'll just go with desktop. So I'll just there and create a new folder, call it TypeScript Qt for tutorial. Okay, so and the text editor or the code editor that I'm using is VS Code. You're gonna need to open your VS Code and open folder and locate that folder that you've just created, just like that. Okay, and then you can go ahead and open terminal. So we're going to use the terminal to install the modules that you're going to work with. So we'll be working with something called Node Fetch. So for those who are JavaScript developers, they are aware of what Fetch is. It's a package that allows you uh, to send requests using JavaScript. Okay, just as we have in Python, for those who are Python developers, just as the way we have the requests, so the fetch in JavaScript is their request. Okay, so you're going to interact with that module in this tutorial. Okay, so you want to need first to do npm. So once you install Node.js, it will come with npm. npm is a package manager. So just the way we have in Python pip for installing packages, in Node or in TypeScript or in JavaScript in general, they usually use the npm. Okay. So I'm going to change my terminal to use command prompt instead of using PowerShell, just to clear the screen there. And then you're going to need npm. You just need that's the first command. You're going to, what this command does is to install TypeScript. I had already done that before globally, but I can just run it just to show you, because you're going to do it from scratch from your site. So it's npm install uh, g, and then you type in TypeScript. You give it some time to install. So this is done globally. So it's like once you do it once in your system, you don't have to do it multiple times. So once the TypeScript is installed in your system, the next thing that you need to do is to now initialize your TypeScript project. You'll see something pop up here in your directory. Not something, but the TypeScript files and also Node configuration files load in your directory automatically. So the first thing to do is to type npm init, and then gonna do -y, so that will initialize our project in our directory there. So as you can see, it has created package.json, and it has a little bit of information there, so you don't have to worry. You have the name is TypeScript. We have the version, just basically initializing the entire project, the TypeScript project. So next, I can just clear my screen. Now we're going to install the packages for Node to interact with TypeScript. So we're gonna need to type npm install, and then just do two hyphen and then save hyphen again. You do dev, then you type in TypeScript at type sorry, and then Node, just like that. Then you press enter. As you can see, we have other two files added there. We have package-lock.json, and we have a directory with Node modules. It's a very huge thing. If I can just expand it, it has a lot of information. We have bin, we have types there. It's very huge. and also we have TypeScript that is inside Node modules, and also we have package dot hyphen lock dot JSON. It's also quite a bigger file. So once you have the required packages installed, you're going to need to create another configuration file for TypeScript itself. So we're going to create it. So just from the current directory or the root of our directory, of our project directory, you just need to create a new file and call it tsconfig.json. Just like that. You can see it has there is an icon there before the name of that file named TS, standing for TypeScript. Once we have that, we're going to add a few code there. So we're going to need to just maybe into curly braces, or what do we call them? And then we add project configuration files. Okay, so the first is going to be compiler. So what compiler option does is this is where we're going to, so TypeScript, once we create our TypeScript script, we're going to convert it into JavaScript and then run it. Okay, so what you're going to do here is just to define the directory where we're going to output JavaScript. So once we compile our TypeScript into JavaScript, is what the configuration file will do for us automatically. We don't need to come here and edit. And something else with the tsconfig file, you might find yourself using it is when you are adding those packages that you want to be recognized by TypeScript in runtime. Okay. So compile option, just like that. And then we start with target. Yes. 3. So you can see ES3 automatically it has populated that for us, but we're going to remove that and just go with ES6. ES6, yeah. Comma, going to do module. It's going to be common JS. Again, there, comma. Next is going to be the output. Just add it in out there, and this is going to be dist. So we're going to create a folder. So once we compile TypeScript, is the JavaScript code is going to be dumped in a folder or dist automatically. So that folder is not here, but you'll see it once we compile our first TypeScript code. Next, strict. Before, as I said, what TypeScript is strict JavaScript, just like that. Next is going to be ES module interop, this one, and then we're going to set it to true, just like that. So once we have our compile option in place, we're going to add something else here, include. And then source, we just put it in the next line like that, and then going to have src. You're just going to type it the way it is. Source. I will explain what src. So src, what it is we're going to create a TypeScript script is going to be inside a new directory or in a new folder called src. So we're going to create a new folder here called src. That is the one that is going to contain now our actual TypeScript code. Okay. So just the way it is, src/2 */*.ts, just like that. And then we are done with tsconfig file. Okay, so next we're going to create a new folder in our root directory, project directory called src for source. Sorry, that was a txt file. Going to move it into and create a folder, call it src. And inside src folder, I'm going to create first TypeScript file main. I'm going to call it main.ts, just like that. And then now our code will go there. Okay, so the first thing after we do file there is to run a test, just a test, just to confirm that our code is or our project will work with TypeScript. So I'm going to create a new function. So function, sorry, and just call it hello world. Usually the first thing that developers do just to test if what they are working on will work. So I'm going to call it hello world and then name accepted parameter. So the function accepts just a parameter there, which we're going to give an argument when you are calling it. And then console.log, whatever is in that. Let me just call it like hello. Something else just to, when you are passing, like when you are doing string concatenation in TypeScript, usually use escape characters there that you can find there. So those tilde, something that looks like it's not a tilde, but escape character there. So you're going to add these two instead of double quotes or single quote. So I'm going to say hello and then name of our argument once we call it. So, and then passing name. Name is what we have, this variable that we have defined, or the parameter of our function. And then we close the semicolon, and then now we call our function hello world, and we pass in an argument. So it's going to be, we pass in TypeScript. So to compile our code, we're going to run tsc. So that is usually the first command that you run once you write your TypeScript, or once you make any changes to your TypeScript file. You only need to compile it first before you run it. So I'm going to type tsc. So you type tsc and then enter. It will compile. If you have any issues, it will also list there for you. As you can see, we have a new folder created in our root directory, and it's called dist, the one that we defined in our tsconfig file. If I expand it and just open it, you can see we have main.js file created there, and it's simple. Just use strict, just the same way, but now in JavaScript, and then we can run it. So tsc is to compile the TypeScript code into JavaScript. To run it, see the output, we're going to need to type in node space and then dist slash main.js. So the way we have it there in our ds, in our dist folder. So we inside our dist we have main.js, and then we have node to run it. So we're going to interact with these two commands. So once we make any change to our TypeScript, we're going to run tsc to compile it, and then now we run now dist slash main.js to run the code. So if I run there, you can see hello TypeScript. So now we can see uh, our TypeScript project is working. So now we can go now to what is our main goal, to write a TypeScript, a script that will send email using Microsoft Graph API or with Microsoft Graph API. So I'm going just to get rid of that code there. And then now we begin. Okay, before, if you can remember, I had mentioned that we're going to interact with Node Fetch for doing the API request. So we're going to interact with the fetch. So I'll need to install it. Also, you need to install it in your system, and you're going to use npm install node hyphen h. So that is the module or the package npm install node hyphen h. So you're gonna need to install that. Something else that we're going to also install is to get the access token, we're going to use MSR. So we need also to make sure that MSR is installed in our system. And also imported. So to install MSR from Node or from Azure, we're going to do npm install at Azure slash MSR hyphen node. So we're going to use MSR to get the access token. So npm install Azure slash MSR node. Just run that, the installation. Once MSR is installed, we're going to need to import it now in our project, in our TS, in our TypeScript file. So just going to import it and just type import all. I'm going to import everything as MSR from, then single quote there, Azure MSR no, just like that. I'm gonna need to add semicolon there. Okay, and also something else that I noticed working with MSR, I was getting some few errors while running it. So we're going to need to add it in our TS configuration file here, the TS config file that we added just under compiler option, just as comma there, and then you can just type colon, it's going to be node, and then add Azure slash MSR hyphen node. Just like that. I don't know why I'm getting type. Oh, sorry, it's supposed to be types, not type. Types. Types, yeah. And then node Azure slash MSR node. So with that, we are ready to write our script. Okay. So I can just get out of that file, and then now we continue. So we're going to move progressively. First is to be able to grab the access token, see if we can retrieve it, and then next, now we write the logic to send the email. So I've already defined the first import of our package, which is MSR node for grabbing the access token. Next, we're going to import our node. Sorry, our, we call it fetch. So requests, the requesting it, response. You can see as soon as I just press enter, it does this automatically for us. And that is something sweet about Node. I don't know if it's Node itself or the TypeScript, but it really does a great job for us. Once we type in the thing, it just auto-populates for us, and then now you can continue. Usually, it really does the fast tracking for us. So next, we're going to define now the variables that we're going to host our application client ID and our application secret and our tenant ID. We need those three things to be able to retrieve access token for our Azure app registration. Okay, so const client ID. So instead of just typing this, I have it in Notepad. Just going to copy it the way it is and paste it there. So you need to define those variables and populate with the proper information. The first is the client application client ID. This one you can get it from the app registration overview page. Next is client secret and the tenant ID, your Office 365 tenant ID. Next, we're going to define also a const variable that is going to host the scopes. Scopes is the URL that defines what our scope is. So we're going to use default. This is constant. It's something constant with every language that you're going to use to interact with Microsoft Graph API. So this is from Microsoft. So graph, usually the URL graph.microsoft.com/default. Just like that. I'll semicolon there. Then we move next. Next, we're going to define also a const, which is a variable now to host our auth client variable. So with the auth client variable, we're going to use it to retrieve the access token. Okay, const, I'm going to call it auth client. You can just call it whichever name that you prefer. And you can call it client, mine just auth client. And then new MSR dot confidential client application. Yeah, it's supposed to be like that. To have semicolon there. Define our auth client ID, the first thing. Next is the client secrets. Client secret. Next is going to be authority. Authority is going to be HTTPS. Login. Microsoft's online.com. Next is going to be, now we concatenate our tenant ID variable there. Sorry, this is going to be 10 and ID variable, 10 and ID of name. Okay, as you can see with the concatenation, we have an issue there, and it's because with TypeScript, you have to use the escape character. So I'm going to change it from single quote to escape characters, and then now we have it there, just like that. Just to add this one, just so you don't get any errors. So next, you're going, once you define uh, your app registration with the MSR requirements, next is to create, we're going to create a function that will handle the retrieving of the access token. So I'm going to call it function gets, okay, just like that. Accepts no parameters. So accept promise, going to be a string, and we do what's like that. Semicolon, sorry. And not the curly brace. These things confuse me. So that is clean. This error will just disappear. So our function will return auth client acquire access token by credential. Token by client credential. That is correct. Like that. It's going to also accept scopes. Going to be .10. Of the client. It's not supposed to be out client, but all the results, we're going to get it in the function. And you perform some few checks here to see if you're going to grab any error and then handle them. So if not auth result, so if you don't get anything, we need to grab the error. So new error. Authentication failed. You can just type in something like that. Authentication failed. So this is going to be printed, not grab, or if it returns nothing, or I don't know why I'm getting those so many errors there. Auth client, return auth client, data access token. Okay, this is coming because of that semicolon, I believe. Back function get access token. Okay. Else we return auth with result dot access token, just like that. So the else. So there we go. So if you don't get anything forming the checks, we're going to get that printed on our screen. Authentication fail. And if we have something, then grab the access token. We can test this to see if it works as we expect it to work by printing it on the screen. So if we can just do something like const access token and equal await get name of our function get access token, just like that. In something cost, okay, that looks okay. Oh, you know what? Let me just try this. Get access token as the name of our function. And then I can just do dot then. You just do dot then access token. Just like that. Return. Don't confusing these two. Oh, then access token, just like that. Return. Instead of just being return, you can just do console.log just to print it directly. Access token, something like that, and then yeah, I can just pass it. It's supposed to be access token, like that. Yeah, simple like that. And then now we can compile our first code. So TSC, no errors. If we go to our main.js, you can see there's a lot of code that has been added there. So the strict, I believe that's now the node is doing their own thing there, the conversion, and then we have our code just below it there. Okay, we can just go back to TypeScript, and then to run it, just as I said, we're going to try to remember the command for running, which is supposed to be node dist slash main.js. So we're going to run this one, main.js, and then enter. It's some time. Boom, and there we have it. So our access token is there printed in the screen. So at the first milestone, if you're able to grab the access token, then the rest will be easier. So we can continue. This one, I'm going to just get rid of it. I don't need it now. So now we're going to create the function that is going to handle the sending of the email. So I'm going to call it I'm going to start with async function. Now here we're going to interact with fetch. Okay, so I'm going to call it send email, like that, or send mail. You can call it whichever name that you prefer. Send mail. Mine, it does not accept parameters. So the original code that has been, the boilerplate code that has been generated accepts parameters. So you're going to just remove the parameter thing. So goes with, it also gets a promise. This is not going to be nothing. So I'm going to call it, going to be void. Sorry. Going to be very huge function, and our magic is going to go here. So the first is going to define a variable to host access token there. So const access token, I'm just going to give it that same name. It's the way it comes from the MSR. So I'll wait and then get token function. Sorry, just like that. Semicolon. Next, we're going to define a response. So we're going to get a response. Const response. Okay. Response. It's going to be await. And then our fetch. Fetch. So here we're going to pass in the endpoint, our API endpoint for sending the email. So just as in the request, you will do. So in this under fetch function, we're going to pass in the URL, the API endpoint for sending the email. So if you can just go back to documentation, just to show you from Microsoft documentation, it is usually https graph.microsoft.com. We have the version, you have to define the version, and then me send mail. So me, it's the current account, but for me, I'm going to define an account, to a specific account, and then store the variable for the email address. So I'm going to use the global administrator account, since I have a license and it has an email, this one, to send email from it. So when we send the email, it's going to be shown on the recipient that it's originating from this email address. So instead of just retyping, I can just go back to the Microsoft document and grab that. You can just go and copy paste it from Microsoft documentation. So I'm just going to pass it there. just like that. So here I'm going to define another variable now to host the account to send from. So it will be const just call it like mail user, and then here I can pass in the account to send from. So it's going to be Bernard. So at Bernard comes on Microsoft. Okay, and then to pass in the mail user in our API endpoint, I'm going to remove the single quote and replace with escape characters, just like that. And then remove me, go with users, and then now that account. So and then I can pass in mail user like that. So I can just go to view wardrobe. Next, inside our fetch, we need to define our method. So we're going to do a post. Sending the email is post. Headers. We're going to pass in our headers as like that. Passes authorization. Authorization. So under authorization is where now we're going to pass in the bearer and with access token itself now. So bearer. Just token variable there. Oh, I'm getting method. Method. Oh, okay. I forgot the colon. Just like that. Next, we're going to pass in the content type. Now this one needs to be in caps. Next is the content type. Supposed to be application slash JSON. That's the way you will do with any other programming language that you're interacting with Microsoft Graph API. So content type there. The headers, its body going to be JSON, stringified. So within our body, we're going to define the message block. So message our message block is going to have subject for the email, going to be test email from TypeScript. Going to call it that way. Next, as part of our message block is recipient recipients, somewhere there. Recipient. Need to be capitalized. So if I can just go back to Microsoft documentation, as you can see the representation of that endpoint. We have the message just the way it is, like here, content type text, content there. And then we have to recipient. We have the email address, CC, if you're going to do CC. And also if you want to save the send to we want to send those, sorry, we want to keep the message that we're going to send in our send item. So I believe that by default, the save to send items is set to true. So we're not going to define that. So we can just continue. We set the recipient. You're not going also to work with the CC recipient. It's just going to work with the two, but it's the same concept. So to recipient, calibrate there, and go with email address. So to be inside also in a calibrate, and then we define address. Address is going to be my Gmail account, personal account. Com. And then now you're going to define, you can see that we have body. So as part of the message block, we have the body itself. So here, where we have this one, inside the recipient, we're going to add something else here. Sorry, not inside the recipient, but just under recipient. I'm going to define the body of our message. So this now where it goes the message itself. Content is just content body TypeScript. So that is what we expect once we send the email to see in the body of our message. So this is the test content body from TypeScript. We're also going to define the content type of the message itself. You can do HTML. For me, I'm going with text. You can do HTML if you want. Just like that. This one we can just go with the with the comma. The others is just comma, just to make our code clean. So that is our function for us for sending the email. So we need to check to do some checks if the email goes if the email goes, we get email sent or some message just to confirm that our message has been sent. And also if we get an error, maybe it's a network issue or the code has an issue, we get also a response for the problem so that we can troubleshoot. Okay. So this is going to just down the score, sorry, the return, the response. Going to define if just to check. If not, response. Okay. So if having an issue, then consts, create a new variable, keep a text in it, await response, text. One error there. So new error again, we raise an error. Failed. Send email. Then we can pass in the error, which is going to be inside the txt. So there, since we are doing string concatenation, we need to replace the single quote with escape quote, just like that. Simple, just like that. Next now is to call our send email function so that it's not grayed out there. Just below the function, going to call it send mail. It accepts no parameter. We are not going to give it an argument, just as I said earlier. And I'm going to do .then. Thing. So log. So if our message is sent successfully, or if the email is sent successfully, we need to get a response. So email sent successfully, just like that. So what if it's not sent successfully? We need to do catch. So we're going to grab the error message and we log it console.log. Error, sending the email, and then we pass in that error. That is the error that will be returned here. So we need to pass it by just replace, let me just pass it and then replace the single quotes with the escape character. So just like that. Error. Make our code look clean. We don't need that one. Just like that. So once we are calling there our function, send email, and then if it goes well, we'll get a message printed as the email sent successfully. If we don't get it, we're going to get error sending the email. So I think our code is done. So that's how simple it is. We can just go ahead and compile it. And something you notice that when we are doing the compiling, we don't change, like we don't have to do manual change of the main.js. We don't have to come here and just edit some stuff here. It compiles and does the change for us automatically. So I can just go and type in TSC to compile the code. No errors, and then now we run code. Node dist main.js. So there we go, guys. We have an error. So error sending the email, failed to send the email, error code meme content, error meme content invalid base 64 string, message invalid base 64 string for meme content. So there we have an error that we need to look at and see where our code is failing. So where is our code failing? This token. KOD. JSON.stringify. Okay, maybe if I can try it again. Okay, so we have network timeout error. That one we can also rerun it again though. So that is network problem. There we go, error sending the email. Failed to send email, error code, error meme content invalid by 64 string. Content type txt. We change the HTML. See what will happen. Failed to send error meme message, invalid p64 string for meme content. Where's that error coming from? Okay, now I understand where the error is coming from. So here we have this is where I made the error. Content type. It's not supposed to be it's not supposed to we're supposed to have hyphen there. So content type. So I was wondering why I'm getting that. So we need also to confirm with the other one. Content type. So when you're passing the headers, we need to have hyphen content hyphen type. Yeah, and then for this one, for the body, it has to stay that way. So we can try to send, I'll just need to compile it again, the code. And then I send the email. No dist main.js, yeah. Okay, cool. Now we can see that was the problem, yeah. Content type here. So the email sent successfully. And then if I go ahead and open my Gmail account, and then after refreshing, we have the email there. So it's originating from Bernard. So we can just see there, that's the address, the from address, the one that we have defined there. And yeah, that's the body of our message, is the test content body from TypeScript and also the subject. We can just go ahead and maybe change something here, like two, yeah, two there to track it, and then another two here. And then we compile our code and send. Gmail, so we can just watch it. The email sent successfully message there. We go to Gmail, refresh. There we go. The email is there. Test email from TypeScript 2 and also the body there. Yeah, so we can see the code is working. And guys, that's how simple it is that you can send an email using Microsoft Graph API with TypeScript. I hope you learned something from this tutorial. For those who have not yet worked with any TypeScript project, and maybe they were curious on how they can start a project, a TypeScript project, then they have learned something. For those who are working majorly with Microsoft Graph API, with the TypeScript, now they know how to send email. And this concept applies to any other resource interaction from Microsoft Graph API. So for example, if you want to list users, you want to be able to retrieve user emails, you want to be able to read user emails, you want to see or to programmatically interact with the SharePoint or OneDrive using TypeScript with Graph, then you can just go and customize the code. So here on the endpoint, it's where the magic goes. You can see there we chose to use fetch. So it's simple like that, and it is something that can be customized to match your requirements. So guys, thank you for watching. If you have an issue, you can just leave in the comments. Maybe if you're working on it and you got stuck somewhere, then you can just let me know and I will be happy to respond. Okay. Yeah. Do also subscribe for more videos like this to come. So in future, just I usually promise is that new videos with Microsoft Graph API, I will be loading them. So I think next can be Python, can be PowerShell, and something else can be Java itself. Yeah. So keep on watching and also like, okay? Thank you guys. Bye bye.